Hello, and thank you for joining me on Talk with Lucy, all about mental health. Today we're going to talk about people who are houseless or homeless, depending on what you want to call it. If you live in California, they are unavoidable. They are pretty much everywhere you go in every city. There's a lot of issues with people who are homeless. But the reason I'm doing this today is because I think I know what one of the reasons are. There are a lot of you who know that as well, but I think that it's time to share that. As you know, I work as an interpreter. And when I do this work, I get to hear a lot of things and interpret for a lot of people. And some of that information doesn't get out to the masses. So I see it as my responsibility to do that. So that's what I like to do. On this day, I decided to take to the streets and look for some people, particularly in Skid Row, where I can talk to them about what is going on. As you can imagine, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy approach because you're sort of infiltrating their domain, if you want to call it that. It's where they feel that it's their home. Even though they may be houseless or homeless, they feel that that's the area that belongs to them. So I found someone who was actually really open and told me something that I already knew, but it was refreshing to hear it from him. The reason I'm doing this is because there are a lot of parents or husbands or wives or brothers and sisters who care so much for their loved one that they want to get them out of their situation. And we think that with money or coaxing them by saying, I'll help you with this, I'll help you with that. And you're going to make these small levels, you're going to take these steps that will make you feel like you're doing something and you're getting somewhere. And you actually are at some points. But then you're going to reach a plateau and you won't understand and you'll blame it on yourself and you'll think it was definitely something I did wrong. But the truth of the matter is there's something called dual diagnosis. So you may have mental health issues. That could be one of the reasons why you're houseless or homeless. The other one could be that you might have a drug addiction problem. So when you combine those two, it's called dual diagnosis. When you are faced with someone in the Department of Mental Health who's going to evaluate you, if a police officer takes you in or the PET team picks you up or someone comes and talks to you, they might look at you as that. And you're wondering, dual diagnosis? Well, you're diagnosed as someone who may be schizophrenic or someone who may be deeply depressed and as someone who may have a drug addiction. Sometimes one follows the other automatically. For example, a lot of the people start with a small problem of drug addiction. They're married, they have a wife, or in this case, they could have a husband and children, and they become addicted. And there's a lot of gateway ways to do that. Some people absolutely claim that marijuana has nothing to do with it. So we're not going to touch marijuana because I don't want to get into that. I know a lot of functioning alcoholics. I know a lot of functioning people who smoke marijuana. So we're just going to put that aside. But you may start with alcohol and you might find out that that just isn't filling you up. It's really not giving you that high that you're looking for. So you move to something else and you may not have the money, but somebody will convince you or you will just try something for the first time. And all of a sudden there you are. And now you're into meth or coke or worse. So you lose your job. We all know the story. You lose the job. Then you lied to your wife or your husband for all this time about working, and then they find out you're not. Then your family leaves you. So now you have no job, no family, no car, no transportation. So what do? You start to figure out a way to live in the streets. This is completely different from people who have lost their job, who have been gentrified from where they lived for so many years because someone with big money came and bought out their place, and now they've been offered, a couple of $1,000s to move to Lancaster or Riverside or Moreno Valley, which is nothing wrong with that. But if you were born and raised in Los Angeles or in Pasadena or in a city here near LA, it is kind of hard to move all the way to Riverside when you know nothing about the place or nobody. And so it starts this way. You're lonely. You're on your own, and you have to have the drugs. So you end up in Skid Row. I know after many, many, many years of people telling me this, that you cannot convince someone. You can't convince someone to stop doing drugs by giving them things, by allowing them to stay in your place for a while, or by, picking them up lunch every day or breakfast. You think you're helping them, but you're not. And when people said that to me, I thought, wow, don't you have any humanity about you? Can't you understand that, there needs to be love and care, and these people just want love, and they just need a place to stay. And then you go and you talk to them, and in the piece that you're going to see in a moment, where I actually do speak with them one-on-one, with one of them, which I think he was very approachable, and I wouldn't have gone up to him unless he said it was okay. I wasn't going to record anyone unless they said it was all right. So you don't really hear my complete question. You just hear the end where I say, what do you want? But I start off by saying, the governor believes he knows what you need. The mental health department believe they know what you need. So we're all trying to figure this out because we think it's sad, and we want to help you. We want to help you out of the situation. For someone like you or me, when it's a rainy day, it's kind of nice. You grab a book, you sit next to a window, and you hear the rain. And this is something completely different for them because now they've got to move. You've seen all the tents all over LA, all over every city. If you live in Downey, if you live in Pasadena, if you live in Santa Monica, you've seen it. So the bottom line here is you need to find out what is going on and how to help them. But you're not going to know that unless you ask. So that's what I did. I've been hearing from the newspaper, the news, different people telling me what they think they need. So we asked them. And this is what I know and what I was confirmed to me. You cannot ask them, want them, bring them to stop what they're doing unless they want to. So if you are a mother, or if you are a wife or a sibling, and you think that you're doing a really good job by helping your brother out, because that's what you're supposed to do. Isn't that what we're supposed to do, is help them? We need to be helpful. We need to have a heart. We need to have a conscience, right? So in this particular case, it doesn't work. If there's a family of 5 and they're living in their car and the mother is out there trying to feed the kids, that's a different story. That's a woman who needs help. Same thing with a man that could be in that situation. But when I'm talking to you about dual diagnosis, you are dealing with an issue of mental health, number one, and they're trying to fill a void that is there, that exists for whatever reason, something that may have gone back to when they were children. And you're not going to be able to save them by giving them money, by helping them. It took me 10 years to figure that out. And finally, my daughter Alexis and I took to the streets and thought we'd ask. So what you're going to see next is there's really no audio on my side, but you're going to hear a lot from someone named Patrick, aka the Joker, who is quite open and frank with his words, and being someone who has a dual diagnosis was blatantly honest and forthcoming. And if all of us who have tried to help someone in this sort of situation could listen to these words and understand that all I'm trying to do by telling you this, for this particular issue, not for all the homeless and houseless, but for this particular issue, there is little to nothing that you can do to get them out of where they are unless they want out. So the way it was explained to me is every time you help them the way you are helping them is like putting a Sealy Posturepedic underneath them. They're never going to reach their lowest low while you are still giving them little this and that and pick me up, and you can use the bathroom and you can take the shower, and I'll give you lunch or dinner. All we are doing is elongating the process. The process is going to take forever. It's going to take longer. And I'm not saying that it's your fault, but it's our ignorance. It's something that, we think, hey, I'm 58 years old. I know better. You're supposed to help people. And in some cases, that works. In others, it doesn't. And I think that you're going to understand exactly what I'm talking about when you hear it from Patrick himself. So let's take a listen.
What do you guys want? What are you looking for?
Honestly, what you're doing right now is a great step. It basically boils down to communication. There needs to be more people that communicate with the community, as well as mental health needs more people to communicate. Basically, you see more ways that we can get people that are in programs that have resources to help the homeless out into the homeless, as well as getting the homeless more resources to go into. First thing I would suggest is building a supportive street team to go out and talk with the community.
Communicate.
We already have hotels, we already have programs for the homeless and stuff like that, and some of it works, some of it doesn't, strictly because it's that person's decision. I was a drug addict for well over 20 years, had no family, had nothing, no house, no home, nothing, and it basically got to the point where I decided I didn't want to do it no more. I didn't want to use drugs no more. I didn't want to be sick no more. It got to the point where I made the conscious decision to seek how to get better. A lot of the resources, mental health and something, they primarily have to go there themselves to get enrolled, to get started, to look at the resources, to look at the different programs that are available. In order to get into a program, they've got to make the initial go there themselves.
So you want them to seek you out?
Yes. Not necessarily seek you out, but show them that
we're here.
That we're there. That they have the ability to go and get this opportunity, or they have the ability, even if it's just someone going and talking to them and telling them their story. These are working toilets that are maintained by Urban Alchemy, which is part of the LA Pit Stop crew, and usually it's manned 24 hours. We provide, hygiene, some hygiene, clothing stuff when we got it. There's, a community fridge, but the main thing is we maintain and, keep the toilet running swiftly. We make sure that there's not too many people in and out of it, staying in there using drugs, staying in there, too long. And also just the basic cleaning of it. You can offer an addict or an alcoholic so many different resources and so many different solutions to get them better. But if they're not ready to make the change or the steps themselves, it's never going to work. The only way it will work is when that person makes a conscious decision to say, I'm done. I can't do this no more. I'm hurting. I'm sick. I don't have money. I'm broke. I have nowhere to stay. I'm getting, jumped. I'm getting raped. I'm getting, so on and so on and so on. The person has to make that conscious decision and The ability to have someone go out in the community to talk to these people opens up the ability for them to know about the stuff and to see other addicts, other alcoholics, even people who have never really been in an addiction situation, maybe people who are just basically in the community doing good, to go out and just talk, communicate, say, hey, I've been in your shoes, and if I haven't been in your shoes, I want to hear about how your shoes are running. So